question was
going to school, we could pass through, not correctly of course, but through an orchard that actually belonged to a school teacher from High Street School at Kingswood, where we were heading for. And frequently we would call in this orchard, scrumping a few apples and on to school. And during the course of my school days, this is as a junior, this is somewhere around the 10 years old, the teacher would realise that we were doing these things, and very often we were told at school, you know, all these naughty boys that were doing this scrumping shouldn't do so, but we continued to do so, and no one ever got caught, not to my knowledge. But there, the area of Kingswood had quite a number of orchards. One during the wartime that I know in particular was at a road which in Kingswood at the moment is called Bellevue Road. It's off Orchard Road. And this orchard is now a housing estate, although the original house and barn are still there. And it was run by a man called Mr. Williams. And my job was, I had an aunt with a fruit and veg shop opposite Kingswood Church. And one of my jobs, which paid my pocket money, was to take a handcart, which all boys had in those days, to the orchard, bring back boxes of apples, plums, soft fruit, whatever was in season, to the shop, so that the orchard provided the local fruit.
I had two aunties, Auntie Maud and Auntie Mary, and they both lived in Forest Court Road at Cadbury Heath, and their gardens, the back of their gardens was Pow's Orchard, and they had little openings in the hedge at the back where the children used to creep through and pick up the apples. And then later on in life, my auntie used to help gather the apples for the orchard people about September or October, and one year I went with her to help for about a week picking up the apples.
I mean, a lot of the local women, they look forward to the annual apple picking season because they were able to earn a few extra shillings, like to help out with their everyday living. And I know my late mother-in-law, she went to pick apples up in the orchard, Pow's Orchard. Strangely enough, the house I live in was built by a William Pow. I don't know if it was any relation, but when we store, my dad had a lot of apple trees there, and there's still one there, the Bramley, which is a huge, great tree. And I remember it when we were very tiny, we had our photographs taken underneath this Bramley apple, and it's still going strong now after about 70 odd years.
And what was your attitude for people who would scrub from your fruit trees?
Well, we
weren't allowed.
No, we didn't. We didn't like that. You know, we didn't.
You mustn't say that.
We didn't like people pinching our apples.
Yeah, we never got found out.
I was talking to my brother the other day about gardens, and he said, our dad used to cultivate every bit of the garden. I mean, lawns were a luxury, you know. We weren't allowed to have a lawn in the garden because every bit of the garden had to produce something, whether vegetables.
His dad used to say you can't eat grass.
Which now is at the side of the ring road behind the Asda store. And facing south, it naturally was good for fruit. And to my knowledge, it was one of the biggest orchards in the area, very big indeed.
When Mr. Wilmot died, the Pow family took over the property around 1924. They planted a lot more fruit trees, mainly apples. By 1928, the Pow family was firmly established, and it changed from an orchard to a plantation. The area stretched from the top of Barscourt Road and around the back of Barscourt Farm and up to the back of Kingsfield Road, and then right across to the top of Bobby Kendall's hill. As a small child, I can remember going on to the hill with my school friends and looking down on the village of Cadbury Heath. There was no better sight than to look across the plantation in apple blossom time. It was like a pale pink sea. The apples were collected in baskets onto a flat trailer and taken up to the sheds behind the farm, where they were graded and packed into boxes. Each night, a big lorry would take them into Bristol. They were sold all over the place. The ladies worked from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. at night. The children of the area also had a good time themselves at picking time, because they could wait until after tea, and then they would find a convenient shroud, which is a hole in the hedge or boundary, where one child would keep cavvy, that means watch, while the rest pinched the apples. Saturday morning I would take a little hand cart made of butter box on wheels with a 2-gallon stone galley jar in to Jim Warner's in Grimsby Road to get 2 shillings worth of cider, rough as the devil. The area around here must be very good for fruit growing, as most of the old houses that have been renovated still have their very old trees in their gardens. But sad to say, all that is left of Plough's plantation is that I can now see is the name of roads on the local estate, such as Sturmer, Cox's, Allington's, Worcester, Blenheim's. That's progress. That's right, yeah.
And up at Fry's, which was Mrs.
Longwell Green.
Longwell Green, that was a huge place.
We're Pearsall Avenue.
Yes,
Pearsall Road,
I remember for the Mrs. Fry, which was a daughter of the original owner, and she told me at the time, because I worked up there for her, I was a home help at the time, and she said that the Burney boys were working up there because they were Italians, you know, prisoners of war.
Yeah.
Although they let Burney Inns afterwards, but they were working up at Fry's Orchard, up at Longwell Green.
To scrump apples, you've got to be careful. You've got to be able to get through the hedge into the orchard, keep kite, that is, keep a lookout in case the owner's around, because you don't want them to catch you.